Hi, everybody, and welcome to Candid Coach Conversations. I'm Kimberly Boyd, founder of Live Life Fully, and here today I have the honor of speaking with Teresa Anderson. Hi,
Huh.
Teresa.
Hi, everybody.
Super excited to talk to you. And this one, I think it might be a little different today, Teresa. We've been talking about your book, and I know that it's at the publisher right now. And I get so curious when I talk to different clients that have written books.
Hmm.
Proud of every single client that's written a book. I think I have 5 clients right now that are either writing a book or have written a book, and it's either at the editor or at the publisher. Super exciting. But I want to talk about the process that you're in right now. Because, like I said, I get super curious, and people use different publishers and different editors. So you submitted the book, the draft.
Hmm.
Told you 6 to 8 weeks.
Hmm.
So, okay, well, let me back up. You submitted last week or the week before?
I think it was the week before.
Okay, so February, like the week of the 16th, I'm going to give them some grace and say you sent it on February 23rd.
Hmm.
So I'm going to write that down.
That sounds about right.
Okay. And they've gone through everything, the contract with you about royalties and how all that works. And I know that you were wanting and have written a workbook, which I like to call growth book, but we'll go with workbook. So you wrote this growth book, workbook, and that was not part of the original contract.
Right. It was not. So I decided to do self-publishing instead of traditional publishing. Basically, I wanted creative control. I didn't want to dilute the message. I didn't want to wait years like for gatekeepers. I wanted ownership of my intellectual property. And I wanted speed and autonomy. So I went with spines and they gave me the structure without taking my voice, I guess. And that was really strong for me. That was a strong point of choosing self-publishing. So yes, like you said, we started the process probably about 2 weeks ago now, give or take. I uploaded the format that they needed me to upload it in and the manuscript. And they asked me several questions about like artistic control, how I felt about the cover that I had because I had already created my own personal cover, whether or not I was willing to kind of move on that or if I was open to ideas. And of course I said yes to absolutely all of that. But they give you the formatting support, they give you an ISBN assignment, distribution channels, so like Amazon, um, Barnes and Noble, etc. Design assistance if I want it, digest sizing adjustments, barcode setup. They're going to give me my particular plan is for 2 books, so it's one in English and one in Spanish, and so I'll get that second book in Spanish. Now, I could have switched out that Spanish copy for the workbook if I wanted to, but the workbook is more of it's something you're gonna write on. It's literally maybe 50 pages, probably less, maybe like 32 pages, so I don't know the exact count right now, but off the top of my head, but it's not as much of a work to me as, like, the actual book is. And I think it's more important to have it in both languages than it is to put the workbook into that position. So essentially, I am getting 2 books with the plan that I chose. But the workbook part of it right now, we're kind of going back and forth on to see because the way that I did it and curated it, it's almost like I used Canva to create like photos of what I wanted. And then I just put them all together and this is the workbook. And so there's not a whole lot of editing to do with that. It's really more so I just need them to like print on demand for me. So that part of it, have not heard back yet. So I don't know if it's going to cost me more. I was originally given a quote for like $800 for the workbook alone. But then this new person I spoke to said she wasn't so sure about that. So she wanted to take it back up the chain to see because it is a minimal editing situation, what could they do for me? And I think we have an appointment next week to discuss the workbook. But the book itself is already in motion. And so there's a 6 to 8 week turnaround on that particular project alone, but the 2 projects are separate.
So by April,
I do believe so.
it's
Somewhere
gonna
in that wheelhouse.
it's gonna be ready to be ordered?
I don't know if it'll be ready to be ordered. I'm kind of living out the process with them. So each week they tell me a new thing. I'm hoping yes. I'm hoping yes, because they said 6 to 8 week turnaround. So that would, to me, means ordered. But I
Makes
don't know if that's actually the case for them. And when I speak to her this week, I have a whole list of questions that I want to talk to her about just to
okay.
get some clarity.
Good.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Teresa, I love the living with them, going through the process with them in the moment. And I'm
Yeah.
about being present, being a moment and taking one day at a time. And I got to know when I can order.
Right.
I want that future cast right now.
Yeah. And the thing is, in the conversations, you don't realize like editing is kind of humbling, right? You don't realize that layout matters more than you think, that print sizing affects everything, that cover design could be emotional for you, right? Are you willing to let somebody take that over? Or are you okay with them just telling them no, that this is the one?
So I'm curious, which way did you go? As soon as you said they talked to you about your cover, I'm like, did you change the cover?
I told them that I really love the cover, but that I would be open to other designs. So they haven't showed me anything yet, but I told them that if the other designs didn't feel like what I wanted, then I was going to stick with the cover. And they said that was absolutely my choice.
Okay, good. Because, and I mean, I don't know what they're going to come up with, obviously, because my crystal ball does not work. I love your cover. And this is nothing about me. I get it. And I just want you to know I love your cover. I think it captures, because I have read the draft, and I think it captures everything about the book
Yeah.
from start to finish, honestly. Um, and we haven't even talked about the cover before, but so I'd be curious what they come up with. And because I can't imagine that they, something better. I don't know. Yeah, that's fascinating. And I did not know that you were going to have the book written in Spanish, which I think is phenomenal. And I honor that decision that you made.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I think the lives that you're going to touch with your book is beyond my comprehension.
I really hope so. I feel very humble with this whole process because this is something that I've always wanted since I was really young. I had a teacher who told me, you write the way that people speak, and people are going to really connect deeply with your ability to normalize difficult things. And this was maybe eighth or ninth grade, and I had written a essay that we submitted to Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. And I do recall him saying that they were going to publish it, but I don't remember what happened with that or if we ever did or if we just never talked about it again and it did happen. I don't recall. I was what 15. But it was about like domestic violence and like being a teenager in a home and the things that you see growing up. And it was a difficult essay to write, but I remember him saying that emotional layer that you have within the writing is going to help others really connect to their own pain. So I don't, it's that him saying those things are like etched in my mind, like core memory for real. And so in writing, I realized I was trying to fulfill that version of myself while I was writing the table. And it really is an humbling like process to talk about all these difficult things and put it in book form and create it not only for like others to read, but it to be palatable and also powerful. So there's this like balance you're constantly holding.
So I thank you so much for sharing about your teacher. Do you know if maybe that was the first person that had acknowledged you for your writing?
Maybe. As an adult, yes. I know I had a little notebook, spiral notebook with all my poetry and stuff in it, and my friends would read it and be like, "This is so good." But I think that was probably the first adult that spoke into my life about my writing.
Do you wonder, like, does he know the impact of those words that he said to you that day?
Probably not. And I'm sitting here trying to think of his name as we speak. That's so embarrassing.
No, but he find
It
him.
was just so long ago. I remember what he said, but I don't know if I remember who he was. So,
You are going to remember. I feel confident about you will remember his name. Gosh, and it just makes me think of so many people. I know it was my first grade teacher was one of them that impacted my life greatly. Joe Carroll Dearman at Foster Elementary. We took a field trip to the zoo, and when we got back, we had to draw a picture
mhm.
whatever stood out to us. And so I drew, and we had this big, manila paper, and I drew it. And she sent a note home to my parents saying, talking about my picture and that they must have it framed. And so that picture did get framed. So when I start thinking about, oh, whatever I've done is not good enough, or because I mean, y'all, I was in first grade. And when I think, just not creative. Like, I don't know how to do this. I'm not good at this, or I don't know how to do that. And I've never done that before. At 55 years old, I think back to Miss Dearman writing a note to my parents saying, get this picture framed. And her belief in me that my silly zoo drawing mattered. And she thought it was good. And so I have told her about the impact that she's made because it did. I mean, it really did impact my life. I still think about it today. When I
I
think of
love that.
anything, I think about first grade.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely want to find the teacher that impacted your life so that he can know a sentence, two sentences.
It's been bugging me that I can't remember who it was. I remember what they said, but I don't remember who it was.
So I bet if you called the school, like the district, they might be able to help you.
Yeah. I might do that actually. Thank you for impressing that upon me. I think I might actually try and do that.
Yeah. Because I don't think people really realize teachers, like I think teachers are overworked and underpaid. And it can be one sentence. It can be a simple note that changes the trajectory of a person's life.
Right.
And I
That
don't know that's
inspires
always
some
aware.
emboldened movement in their soul. Yeah.
A fellow coach, Guadalupe, she got married and recently, like Saturday.
Congratulations, Lupita.
Yeah. She wrote a planner. She created a planner and it's so beautiful. It's hardcover. It's beautifully done.
Mhm.
And when she got it published, she worked so hard, sent it in, all of that, and finally got it back. Her fiance at the time was at work, and I told her, she said, they're due to arrive. I have the date written down. Anyway, due to arrive, let's say Wednesday, because
Mhm.
I don't have that calendar in front of me at the moment. And I was like, okay, good. I have a break. Like, please, if you can, call me. Like, I want to be on FaceTime with you when you open it. But if Miguel has a break and you want to open it with him, I totally get that. My fiance does.
Mhm.
Dang it. So she was working. She couldn't get a hold of him. So I was on FaceTime with her, and it was so exciting watching her open these planners and pull it out and seeing the joy on her face, just how proud she was. And I was so proud of her.
Yeah.
All that. She planned a trip like that weekend, went back to Kansas, Emporia, Kansas, and walked in to her high school English teacher, the one who said a sentence to her about Guadalupe's talent, her creativity,
Mhm.
her history, and her writing. And she
Mhm.
took it in and presented it to her teacher in front of the class. And it was
That is
because of this
beautiful.
lady, Guadalupe got an extra sense of belief in herself from the sentence this lady talked to her about, like a couple of sentences about
Yeah.
she saw in Guadalupe. Guadalupe had never thought of herself that way before.
Right.
So I just love that. I love it.
Especially when these teachers are pouring into you don't know what's happening in these kids' homes. You have no idea whether they are being taught to dream, whether they're being taught to love themselves and to see their own giftings, if they have parents who are reiterating those things for them. So the power of someone coming alongside like a teacher to really like be reflective in that way and show a child how they see them. Oh, incredible.
I know it really is. I love the teachers that stand in the hallway and give their students high fives and acknowledge that they're like alive and that they showed up. Even if they're late, they showed up. They
Yeah.
weren't late because they lost their keys. They're late because their parents were late. Anyway, yeah. But okay, so yes. So back to your book, The Table.
Mhm.
I am truly ecstatic about the world having the opportunity to get your book. I guess something else I want to know. People ask me all the time, like, really, when are you going to write a book? I'm like, never thought about writing a book. Just haven't
Mhm.
thought about it. Well, you've got so much to share. Okay. I like to talk. I like to talk more than I like to write. With that said, though, I don't know, what was the biggest challenge in writing your book?
I think the biggest challenge was almost like we as individuals, the human brain, I think, tends to look for like the downfalls, the pitfalls, the danger in doing anything. Right. And so, of course, even with writing a book, that's the same situation. I think the table began like as a sanctuary metaphor. Publishing it became an act of courage. I think probably the publishing process was the most scary for me because now it's outside of my laptop and into somebody else's hands. But the courage that it took to do that was empowering in a way because it reminded me that we integrate our story instead of hiding it, and we create spaces where others can feel less alone. And that is my reason. That's my reason, and even in writing it. And so having the courage to do the thing that I set out to do, even if there could be some sort of negativity in the future that might come or befall from it. And not necessarily toward me, but maybe like people who kind of find themselves in the book or see themselves in the story, what their thoughts, feelings, expressions, experiences are going to be. And I found myself taking ownership of things that are not mine. And
Finding yourself taking ownership of things that are not yours.
yeah,
Beautifully said. And how do you get out of it? You personally, like when you realize, okay, I've taken ownership of something that's not mine, whatever it is, the feelings, the actions.
yeah,
How
the
do you
fears.
get out of it?
I honestly, I just decided to be courageous. That was really what I decided. I said, I'm just going to be courageous. And this isn't about me. And somebody else's experience is not about me. And reconciling that, I hope that it helps so many. And the weight of that is so much more important to me than whatever negativity or naysaying or personal experience from other people is to me. And so I'm just going to be courageous and do the thing that I've been called to do in spite of the possibility of something going wrong.
And like I said, you are a heart centered, forward person. I think it's incredible. I do, truly do. My gosh, it's it's admirable, really.
Thank you.
And I love the fact that you want it to touch people. And I think as a reader, it definitely will. And I love and appreciate the fact that you have already identified and that you know for certain there's going to be naysayers. And isn't it true? There's naysayers all the time.
Yeah. And everything we do.
Yes. If we walked around and videotaped our entire life, there would be naysayers about how we make our bed. There'd be naysayers about how we brush our teeth. There'd be naysayers about what we choose to wear, what we choose to eat, what time we choose to eat, what fork we start with, how we set the table, what plates we eat on. I mean, there's naysayers.
Yeah. So much.
And I don't know that people, I don't always think about naysayers like there would be everything, there would be a naysayer. If somebody was truly watching 24 hours of my life on constant feed. But when I start a project or like for you, you wrote a book and you're writing another book. And if I decide I want to host another event, that's when the naysayers get big for me in my
Yeah.
head. But knowing in advance, it could be about how I put on my shoes or the fact that I don't like shoes. Always naysayers, then it helps me with the bigger projects, put the naysayers aside. And like you said, it's more important to you about the healing and the help and the forward momentum rather than the naysayers. So knowing that in advance. And I love that for you that you've already identified it. And it sounds like you're already at peace with it.
I am. I think not everyone will understand your calling and they don't have to. It wasn't assigned to them.
Oh my gosh.
So there will be voices who question your vision, but clarity is knowing which ones don't get a vote. And that's kind of where I'm at.
I have to write that down. It's not, it's not their calling. Did you write that down?
I do have that written down somewhere because this process of deciding to publish, I spent a lot of journaling time over the feelings that were coming up for me. And because I am a therapist, I know how important it is to process those feelings as well. Like let that come out and let it have a space to really be honest and integrate that fear and really like figure out where is that coming from. And that's when I realized that not everyone's going to understand the calling and they don't have to. But again, it wasn't assigned to them. So
I mean, that is beautiful. And
thank you.
for me, I'm like, I want everybody to take that away. No matter what you're doing, there's going to be people that don't understand it, and it's okay. They don't have to. It was not assigned to them.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
so beautiful, Teresa. Holy mo I thank you. I thank you for coming today. I thank you for opening up and sharing about your publishing experience, the heart that you have for people, the love. I'm going to get tearful if I keep talking about your heart. I just have such gratitude for you, and I'm very thankful you're alive and that you were in my life. And I want to thank
You can't get teary-eyed because you're gonna make me
I
teary.
am teary-eyed, so there's that. I do. Tremendous gratitude and admiration for you and your strength, your courage. It's I do. I thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. And I'm gonna see you soon.
Okay.
And go fix the mascara. All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us at Candid Coach Conversations. Teresa is incredible and she does have a heart forward intention. Heart forward intention. Yes, she does. So if you're interested in working with Teresa or even having a clarity call, 20 minutes, 20-minute clarity call. It is complimentary. There is no charge. And maybe you too will feel tearful, tears of joy and gratitude. Until next time, thank y'all for being here. And I hope you live life fully and have a great day. Thank you again, Teresa.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.